Alright, guys, I got another encounter for you that was sent in, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy this one. They were stalked in the woods by a werewolf. This happened around 2000. About a year after this took place, I started dating one of these friends, and that's when the first I heard about this. I have since asked each friend over years and miles apart, and they all remember the same encounter. Before my ex was even my boyfriend, let's call him Jay, he and our other friends were about 17 to 18 years old. At the age, I remember it being an adventure to find a place to smoke. Let's hike. Ah, good old days. And we got away from the parents and planned a day around, just hanging out in the hills and in the woods. It was Jay and his best friend B and their girlfriends S and M. The four of them decided to drive to Mount Pisgah, a beautiful wooded outside of Eugene, Oregon. It's more of a hill, but it's nature in its prime for sure. I've been out there many times growing up, and I know exactly what the trail they were on. The main one that connects to the parking lot to the river. They had driven in B's little white sedan, parked in the parking lot, then walked onto the river. On the way to the river from the lot, there is a very small bridge that crosses a small creek. This is relevant for later. The group spent the day there, swimming and puffing and puffing and swimming, just being typical Oregons, just messing around. I can imagine that hunger is what drove them to go home after a few hours as the sun began to set. Either activity alone is bound to get someone hungry, let alone the time we had spent there. So they walked along the well-worn main dirt path to the parking lot. This path has since been paved according to Google Maps. It doesn't take but 20 minutes or so for them to get back to the little footbridge by the parking lot that they had crossed when they hiked in. When they reached a small footbridge near the parking lot B, looked out into the vast field between them and the wooded mountain, and noticed a huge dog near the tree line, about 100 yards away. They all later described it as the biggest dog they'd ever seen. The dog was just sitting there, not looking scary, just looking like a humongous friendly dog. It was starting to get dark, but from M's and J's descriptions and the drawing she did for me later in 2005, it was very shaggy and furry. I may even still have the notebook where she drew the dog thing. I'll see if I can find it and I'll post it. My friends continued to walk across the small wooden bridge, and one of the girls screamed. The big dog is now on its hind legs, standing much closer to when they had seen it, just a couple of seconds earlier. It had traversed most of the large field in the seconds it took them to get across the 10-foot bridge. Whatever this thing was, it was fast, quiet, and stealthy. My four friends ran to the car, and they had a classic glitch. I can't get the key in because B was fumbling madly for the keys. At this point, the dog was standing on its legs, at the very edge of the parking lot, looking at them. Still had the dog face, still had the dog body, standing up. They never saw it walking on all fours, or just two. It was like every time they looked up, it was just standing there, closer. As Jay said, every time they looked up, he was closer, but not moving. All of them recounted how surreal it was to see a dog standing on its hind legs. I don't know if it ran for a few ticks and then stood up again in intervals in the field, but that's the way they describe it. Many times I asked them, "Are you sure it wasn't a bear?" No, it definitely wasn't a dog standing on. No, it definitely was a dog standing on its hind legs. a big dog that was stalking them. Also, this is in Lane County, Oregon in the year 2000. There are few, if any, bears out there. It would be odd, but again, there's no bears there. The kids got into the car and sped off, leaving Pissy a dog and his own business. It's never had a reason to doubt any of their stories. I know what I saw, and I wanted to confirm it with them to make sure that I was not crazy. Some of them don't even want to talk to it to this day because it was too creepy to recall. And I remember that day being very terrifying myself. You know, guys, I remember whenever I had the boys with me down at the lake and we saw the pack of coyotes that went into the field, and the boys told me to look, and they were bipedal with one up in a tree shaking the tree. They never chased us across the open field. They stayed within the wood line, but they were bipedal, and they was watching us, and they were howling as we walked to the truck. I did have my firearm with me, and I don't know if maybe that's something that stopped them from approaching us. But I do remember that, and I'll always remember that day because I felt like they were hunting us because they followed us. Well, they more stayed parallel to us. But sometimes I wonder, was it just my firearm that saved us that day because maybe they seen it or smelt it and knew I was armed? What do you think? Do you think my firearm kept them from attacking me? I look forward to seeing that in the comments because I believe they were very interested in the boys. Let me know what you think. And we'll catch you on the next one. And don't be something's dinner. Thanks for watching, guys.